Welcome back to the Charismatic Voice. I love Chicago, the musical. The airport's pretty good too. That's the only part of the city that I've ever visited. And by all reports, I hear that the band is great. But I don't know yet, which is why I'm going to listen to Chicago right now for the first time ever. Let's get to it. Hold on. Do we have a horn section? What? It's like big band met some sort of, it feels like an older rock and roll feel. I did not expect the horns. Okay, back to the beginning.
Waiting for the break of day, searching for something to say, flashing lights against the sky, giving up, I close my eyes.
Wow. Whoa, there's a lot that's going in there to digest. Wow. So Peter Cetera is a lead singer in this. I've heard that they have quite a few different lead singers throughout the years in Chicago. Peter Cetera sang this one, and I specifically wanted to listen to this version because apparently he recorded it while his jaw was wired shut, or I'm guessing it's not entirely shut. You wouldn't be able to sing at all then, but maybe just mostly rigid or mostly shut. And this is because he was at a Dodgers game and was a big fan of the Chicago Cubs. I think they won or something like this, and after the game and got beat up by some guys, which is crazy. Dodger Stadium is like 2 miles away from where I used to live. So I'm like, oh, sorry, man, I feel bad. Anyhow, we're going to go back to the beginning. His voice is extraordinary and only made more extraordinary by the way that the horn section has almost like a call and response to his vocal lines. I want to figure this line out with beatboxing.
Waiting for the break of day, searching for something to say.
I love the rhythmic, just the pulse of this and the way that it's ba 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 ba. There's a syncopation in his line, so where that beat is, he's actually going smack dab between it as he goes up on the line. Let's see if I can show you exactly where that's happening.
Waiting for the break of day.
So waiting for the break of day. From for the break of day, each of those words is syncopated. Again, that's falling between the beats. It gets this emphasis. It's not actually on the beat.
Waiting for the break of day,
Such a good tone quality.
searching for something to say, flashing lights against the sky.
I really like the way when he goes up higher there, it sounds like he's essentially mixing in elements from the upper part of his voice. Sometimes we'll talk about this. Some people will call this a mixed register. I don't really personally think that it's a register, and I'll usually define register as more like what physically is going on to create a sound in your voice. If a set of muscles have switched, then I might think it's a different register. That's a whole big conversation, though. Essentially, what's happening is he's pulling in elements from a higher part of his voice and sort of trickling them down into the sound so that when he starts to turn up, it isn't just like trying to plow a big mass through a small apparatus. It's instead it kind of threads and almost like sucks up the sound. It's really, really useful to have this idea of sort of a trickle down as you're going up high, or that idea of sort of like something coming down and pulling or sucking up something through a smaller area.
Thing to say. Flashing
Right here.
lights against the sky. Giving up, I close my eyes.
Also, his tone quality is just spectacular. That phonation is so, so clean. Obviously, the phonation was not disturbed at all by the jaw.
Giving up, I close my eyes. Sitting cross-legged on the floor. 25 or 6 to 4.
This reminds me a little bit of ELO, which I'm so into right now. I think Mr. Blue Sky is my most listened to song this entire year so far. So love the layering that just happened here. You all who've been recommending Chicago, you knew something. You knew something. And I would say you're very, very right.
Cross-legged on the floor.
I love that like detuned guitar sound in the back too.
Cross-legged on the floor. 25 or 6 to 4.
Ooh. Woo. Oh my gosh, the way that was a riff just between half steps back and forth. It's like a little bee going back and forth. Oh my goodness, it's such a dissonant interval. It's so close together. It's almost like, I mean, like a bee or a fly. There's a certain annoying buzz when you go back and forth between just a half step, and they're very much capitalizing on that right here.
Staring blindly into space. Getting up to splash my face.
This is so fascinating. I'm again really struck by the big band sound from the horns. And I think about this a lot more. I know a lot more about the jazz music side of things and big bands over there because I've done a ton of swing dancing. I love Lindy Hop. I love Charleston, Balboa. Anyhow, I love swing dancing. I think it's one of the most fun things to do. And it's so fascinating when you hear lines and echoes in horns. The horn section in particular has a lot of energy. It's got a lot of sass in it too. It's interesting to me because of how that sound source is made in the first place. But the writing here just feels somehow reminiscent of Duke Ellington to me. It's got so many echoes in the way that the horns are responding to the vocal line, and the way that the harmonies are written as well. It's totally fascinating, which makes me wonder where the inspiration for this horn section came from. Is this something that is consistent throughout all of Chicago's music? I know they've been around for a very long time, and I think that they're older than I thought they were. So anyhow, if you guys will let me know in live premiere or in comments down below, I would love to know more about what made them have such an extraordinary horn section and really cool writing, really, for the brass.
Into space. Getting up to splash my face. Wanting just to stay away.
such a fun response. The way that Peter Cetera's voice drops and slides down, and then the horns in response slide up. Was so cool.
Wanting just to stay away. Wondering how.
It's so good. I want to listen to it again.
Wanting just to stay away. Wondering how much I can take. Should I try to do some more?
I love the way that the sound there, when they get the harmonies to it, they just totally spread. It feels like a nice wall of harmony. And then when you have his voice solo, it is so straight down the center. Very, very nicely produced there. Also, I wonder, I don't know if this is remastered or what, but it's so clear, all of the different instruments, and I love the spatialization of each one. It's just really gorgeous, gorgeous production overall. One of the things I wanted to mention about his voice is the way when he cuts off his sound, it's really clear. I feel it's not necessarily that he's biting the sound off, but I think he has a very definite moment when he's going to stop phonation. I'll go back a little bit here. I think we're going to hear him do this probably a lot more throughout, so I won't go back a ton. Yeah, right there.
Should I try to do some more? 25 or 6 to 4.
Oh, nice. Ooh, I love the way that layered over with his holler that was hanging out after the vocal harmonies. Oh, nice. Also, he's had such a clean tone most of the time, so getting just a teensy bit of grit in there was fun. Oh, interesting. So we took off by having essentially the same vocal line in this instrument, but it's going up and it takes it further and further and further. Like it takes it up to the same pitch that Peter Sellers did before, but then it extends further. He's really riffing and creating a new idea off of the same melody. So interesting to me how in the first part of this solo we had something that was so clear and clean on pitch, and it didn't have like a lot of twisty or little shifting bits. And then it got into a spot where it feels like it's almost distended here. It's definitely messing around with our pitch center a lot more. It's just, it feels like it was establishing something clear so that we could move away from that later. Right? This is really shifty. Wow, wow. I love the way that each section of that felt like it was really exploring a different tone quality in general. We took off from that original melody and went through very, very clear chapters. That was fun. Man, that's been there the whole time. I was so focused on everything on top, I hadn't realized that bass riff that's going down has been there the entire time. It's super catchy too. It's got good drive and rhythm. I'm so into horns. I'm so into horns in this. This is so great. Okay, one more time.
Feeling like I ought to sleep.
It feels like there's like a little Motown influence in this overall. Okay, one more time. Coming back here.
Feeling like I ought to sleep.
So even though he does a rundown, it's so clear how he ends it. He ends up very shortly. He doesn't elongate that last note at all. It's like a very sudden exclamation mark at the end of a sentence.
Feeling like I ought to sleep.
Oh, nice.
Spinning room is sinking deep. Searching for something to say. Waiting for the break of day.
It astonishes me that he was able to do this with his jaw so rigid. It sounds like there's a little more mouth movement. In order to have a lot of clarity in vowels, you need to have some mouth movement. You don't have to have tons. More definitely can help, though. But if you're really worried about it, you can focus on getting a lot of mouth movement while your jaw is staying shut. Mostly, you just need to be able to move your tongue into positions for really, really clear vowels. Your lips can still make all of those consonants just fine. Your mouth has to close for a lot of consonants anyhow. So it's not a terrible thing usually for your consonants if your jaw is more shut. But the space to create vowels and tongue shapes inside of your mouth, it's useful to have your jaw more open a lot of times. Otherwise, we can get into some of the sort of more lazy diction that you would hear in grunge or just in some sort of contemporary singing where you want it to be a lot more casual. It becomes a little more similar to speaking. And in singing, if it's elongated, you really want people to hear your message the very first time. A lot of times opening up can help. But he doesn't seem to be affected by this. I'm getting the words super, super clearly. So let's go back a little bit and keep going.
Searching for something.
Go back a little more.
Searching for something to say.
I love that response in the horns.
25
I just want you guys to know when I saw this as the one that you were recommending the most, 25 or 6 to 4, I kept thinking it was two different songs, that it was the song 25 or the song 6 to 4. And I was wondering why Chicago liked writing so many songs with numbers in the titles. I was just like, what? And then I realized, oh, it's 25 or 26, essentially, to 4. And that's about writing, composing a song. And I looked into the backstory and I was like, oh, okay, that's actually kind of clever. But yeah, for weeks now, I've been thinking it was two different songs.
for the break of day. 25 or 6 to 4.
I love those harmonies.
25 or 6 to 4.
What is that ending? The excursion from the harmonic bass that we've set out so far, which is just enormous. Also, it slows down, which is so nice because this isn't just a click track, it's slowing down, having a nice ritardando that goes into the end, expands out. I love it when we had that kind of tempo shift. But also, it's in the horns, so it's blaringly in your face. This is a very surprising ending. Right, this is totally normal stuff. You're like, yeah, cool. Whoa. And does it resolve? Ah! This is so peppy. There's a certain uplifting feel to it overall. I love it when songs get us all revved up for the day. And so I'm going to make a playlist for you over here that's called Pep Up Your Day. And I hope you guys will listen to it and feel lots of good juju for the week to come. May you fall more in love with music every day.